Going live, guys.
Thank you.
22 people letting everyone in right now.
Okay. All entering the room. It's nice. Hello, everyone. Is that you playing, Marvin?
Yeah. Hey, the saxophone.
That's you. All right. I'm impressed. I'm sure everybody else is listening is impressed as well. Hi, Gina. Hi, Keisha.
Greetings from California.
Well, I'm in Pennsylvania, if that helps any.
That's cool. I was there for 4 years.
Okay.
Spent 4 years in Philly.
Yep. Well, I'm on the other side. Just stay in Pittsburgh. Just for
Oh,
tonight.
oh, okay.
One more night, then I go home tomorrow. Are you ready, Marvin?
Yes, ready.
Okay. You're gonna close down the mics for a couple minutes, and then we'll jump on this. Mhm. Mhm. Okay. I'm ready whenever you guys are. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chuck Roberts, and I'm the Executive Vice President for the Advisory Board for the Metro New York chapter of the National Black MBA Association. And I'm also the Director of the Virtual Career Fair for the national program as well, which is the other platform we offer throughout the year. I want to first of all thank my good friend Marvin Vasquez from MMUSA, who is putting this program on. He's producing it and directing it. Without him, we wouldn't be here right now. So, as always, thank you, Marvin. A week from today, you guys, let me say this to you, not to frighten you or make you any more nervous, and you probably are. You're going to be interviewed. And I have to say that because I want you to know that. Um, 11 o'clock through 3 o'clock on the 17th of April, we're bringing in 7 companies. If you've seen the flyers and if you've seen the career opportunities they have to offer, there's great opportunities for all of you, either in the cosmetic or the financial world. Um, Estee Lauder, Moody's, Morgan Stanley, Beiersdorf, CIBC, Bank of BNP Paribas, which is a French bank, Mizuho, which is a Japanese finance company. And I think that's it. Count 7. If you didn't see those, we keep posting the flyers up, and we try to send you guys the career opportunities which they want to present to you first and foremost. But please take a chance, take a moment, and go to their career page if you don't see something that interests you. I'm going to talk about that a little more depth later on. But first and foremost, I believe she's ready. My good friend Isella Belinfante is our resident guru when it comes to being recruited, as she holds that position with a major health organization on Long Island and has a graduate degree in that field. And she's going to give you some inside tips on recruiting and what the recruiters look for on your resume. That's important. So, If I'm correct in my timing, let me introduce and I'll chat with you guys a little later on. If you have any questions, surely put them in the chat area on the form here. I'd like to introduce Gisela Belinfante. Gisela, are you ready?
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Thank you, Chuck. Happy Thursday. Can't believe it's 10 days into April. How's everyone doing? First things first, I definitely want this to be an interactive session. So if you guys could just list your name to, I think it's in your, on the bottom there. If we can list your name, that would be great. And please feel free to use the chat function. We're definitely going to be monitoring that during the presentation. So this presentation is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to kind of skip around, but I definitely want to leave a lot of time so that each of you, if you need to, can ask questions as it relates to your resume. So I think first off, we should definitely have our resume in front of us. So if you guys have your resume, definitely have it in front of you with a pencil, not so much a pen, so you can make any edits or corrections that you need to as we go along, okay? So I am going to share the presentation without further ado, and we can get started. Some more people are coming in, they're joining, so just bear with us. Can everybody see my screen? Thumbs up in the cameras, yes? Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so tonight's presentation is a little bit different. It is titled Resume Strategy and Career Fair Preparation. Now, just so you guys know, just a little bit of insight on who I am, as Chuck mentioned. My name is Gisela Belinfante. I have a lot of experience as it relates to resumes, hospitality, customer service. I've been in the industry for close to about 18, 19 years now. Held different roles, but definitely have a lot of backdoor insights in regards to resume. Decided to create Resume Journeys because prior to COVID, I realized that it was something that was an essential request for individuals to be able to have resumes, make sure they are, I always say, passport ready, so that they can make the best presentation when they're interviewing. So if you guys at the end want to reach out to me, you could take a snapshot right now of the information. I'm on IG. I have email. You can send me a text message. Please feel free to reach out. So this is our 19th Premium Virtual Career Fair. That means we're one more away from 20. So I think this is a great opportunity to just call that out when you think of the number 19, right? We're in 2025. So the 19th Premium Virtual Career Fair, which enables every one of you to be able to interview virtually with the various different companies that will be joining next week. So this is kind of an interlude, right, to kind of preparedness for that interview that you're going to have next week. So these are just some of the resume journeys presentations that I have done. Again, you know, looking forward to the 20th one, which actually will be this year. So we definitely will hit that number quite soon, probably in the latter half of the year. So I actually put this up first because I wanted Chuck to kind of jump in and talk to a little bit about this. Like I said, this presentation is going to be a little different. I want you guys to feel very comfortable in, you know, just putting anything in the chat or raising your hand so that we can have this to be very interactive. But what's really important about this is the feedback from recruiters, right? You don't always hear what the feedback is from recruiter, right? You might not hear anything when you apply for a position. You really don't know. You're kind of in limbo. You don't know if it's your resume. You don't know if it's something you did on the interview. So what was gathered was feedback from the recruiters from various companies. These specific companies decided to kind of, I say, you know, let us know what the secret sauce is. So I'm going to let Chuck talk about that a little bit before we continue into our presentation.
I am more than honored to do so. These three companies, Mizuho, Beiersdorf, and Morgan Stanley, are people that I know personally, know very well. In fact, Adam from Morgan Stanley and I play golf together all the time. You don't get much closer to anybody when you play golf with them. Gisela, you know that too. But Mizuho and Beiersdorf and Morgan Stanley took up minutes one day and went around and asked them, "What are you looking for?" And what I put together here is a commonality of thought that they presented. And I wanted you to go back to that point that I made earlier to make you realize you're going to be interviewed next week. Not might be interviewed, not 2 weeks from now. It'll be next week between 11 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm sure all of you, and something that I'm sure Gisela will comment on, have taken that resume, gone to the area, the LinkedIn area, or the link of the career page of each one of these companies and submitted your resume, and you heard nothing. That's not going to happen here. Your resume will be in front of the recruiters next week. So what they wanted was to make sure that you're ready, that you're coming next week presenting or bringing your A game. That's a very broad term, but I think you get the idea. They want you to be ready. It says that you stopped. You went to the website. You did all the homework you can on the company as well as the position that you're seeking. They don't want you to come to their booth next week and say, "Well, I have a degree in biology. What do you have for me?" That's a catchphrase I've been using. You don't want that. You want to be able to say that you looked at their website, we looked at the jobs that Marvin and his team have sent out to you, and you saw a position, well, a couple of positions that fit your background and your experience. That's how your A game gets developed. Plus, let me also throw in a point, and I hate to be so trivial in my thought, but you're going to wear something that your best friend's going to say to you, "Boy, you look nice in that." So look good. You're going to sound good. You're going to sound like you prepared yourself for that interview. You know what you want to talk about. If I can skip down, let the recruiter know you are interested in working at their company. That's important. And available for a second interview. That's where all this is supposed to be going. Where you're trying to convince them that your background and your experience matches a position that you found either on their website or the position that we've been sending over to you. Does everybody understand that? Give me a thumbs up or something. Is that clear? I'm waiting for responses. Yes, sir. Don't call me sir. Um, how the position matches your background, your skills, your interests, your financial experience. Let me mention to you Mizuho, Morgan Stanley, Moody's, and BNP Paribas. Those are all financial organizations. They're looking for people that have a financial background. Doesn't mean you have to have a MBA or graduate degree in any field. Is that you had some hands-on experience in the financial world. The two companies, they're not looking for financial people, Beersoff and Estee Lauder. So keep that in mind. So if you don't have a financial background, look at the jobs from Estee Lauder and Beersoff. They're both in the cosmetic consumer area. There was one word that came up several times or came up repeatedly among the three is this word relocation. Not to scare you off, but relocation might be New York to Connecticut or New York to New Jersey to match the job or be able to get into the opportunity. So don't get in New York to California thought. My new friend from California online here may want to go back to the East Coast. So for her, that's a no-brainer. Don't get knocked out of consideration initially because, well, I don't want to move. I live in Brooklyn and I work in Manhattan and I'm comfortable. Please believe me, moving around the country or moving around the world, quite frankly, is not a bad thing. Um, a position that's offered in New York that pays 80, 90, $100,000 a year is a great job in Wisconsin. Money goes a lot further when you get out of these major metropolitan cities. So all those things you need to consider. While I worked for the government for 20 years, I must have moved 8 times. And so I know it's not the best thing in the world for you, but it's something you want to consider as one of your options. Um, you want to ask the recruiter about next steps. Shows your interest. Shows you want to go beyond here. Find out when is the second interview. You want to hear that too. That's one of the things that you can ask the recruiter. And last but not least on this list, take a moment to send a note to the recruiter, thanking them for the interview. And also, if there was anything, any personal interaction that you may have had with that recruiter, put that in a note. If the recruiter said something to you about what they'd like to see you do, put that in a note that you're considering that change or considering that thought that they gave you. So if you can read through these again, you can take a picture of that. Make sure you have those points ready when you come to your interview next week. Yes. Okay, I thought somebody. Anybody have any questions? My
Yeah,
God.
question.
Yeah.
So how do we approach of obtaining the recruiter's email for that thank you note?
Oh no, just ask them. Ask them for their email address. Yeah.
Oh, quick question. Just to piggyback off that point,
Right.
how long should you take after the event? How long should you take to send that thank you note? Like, do you take a day or is it something you do instantly afterwards, or like what would you suggest?
That's a great question, but I say to you, don't wait. I mean, if you got time to do it that same day, send it out. You're just going to say a couple words. Thank you for the interview. You may recall that we talked about this. We talked about that position. I look forward to the opportunity to have the next interview with you. Always keep that second interview in mind. That's where you want to be in the steps. I mean, some companies are interviewing people 7, 8, 9 times. It's crazy, but that we can't control that. The only thing we need to do is think about the next step in front of you. Is that a good answer for you?
That's a terrific answer. Thank you for that, Chuck.
Okay. Have fun with that. Any other questions in this chat line here? Isabella's uses my backup in that regard. Go ahead. Okay. You saw the companies that are coming in. Has everyone had an opportunity to look through the company's background, what they do? One of the recruiters might ask you. In fact, Beresendorf, it's funny you said, let's bring this up. They have Nivea lotion. If anybody knows about shaving and the rest, Nivea is a very large brand. That's one of the brand products that they have. I'm not going to tell you guys you should go out and buy a Nivea product between now and next week. But for the $5 investment, it might be worth it to say, hey, I actually use one of your brands. I would be impressed. I use 3 of their brands. And it's funny, that's not why they're here today, but I made it clear to them. 3 of your products I use every day, the shower, shave, and the lotion. So interesting, because I think psychologically, it may be a boost in how they look at you. Oh, you already know my product. You're a good person to come in and work with me. What do you think, Isabella?
I agree with you. Yes.
You don't have to agree with me, dear. All right, I'm back to you there. Once you get it, because you have a lot to cover, and you only have less than an hour to get it in there. So
All right.
I'm here. I'm here if anybody needs me. Chat. Goodbye.
Thanks, Chuck. Jennifer, I just responded to you, and to the gentleman that just asked a question, I also just dropped that answer in the chat. So keep them coming. I'm going to try to respond to you guys as we go through the presentation, okay? So definitely stay engaged within the chat. So thank you, Chuck, for that. Do you guys feel, this is where I want everybody to use the chat function. Do you guys feel that that was helpful? What you're looking at right now, Recruiter Feedback 2025. These 3 companies put together what they are looking for in the candidates, what they are lacking. Do you guys feel like this is helpful? What Chuck talked about in the chat. Yes, no, maybe, absolutely, sure, thumbs up. Right? I think it's helpful when you think about it, because sometimes you really don't know what you're missing exactly, right? You kind of think that you're spot on. You interviewed, or maybe you just applied. You really don't know what to expect. I think that this list right here is kind of a preview into what exactly they're looking for, right? We talked about relocation, consider relocation. Ask the recruiter about next steps in the process. But guess what? Everything that's listed here, I'm about to touch on within this presentation in a little bit more detail, so that you guys are, again, ready for success, or should I say set up for success, okay? So definitely take a picture of this slide. I want you to save it. If we want to come back to it, we can after, okay? All right. So again, 19th Premium Virtual Career Fair, right? What does it say? First line, your gateway to an exciting career advancements with industry-leading companies, which Chuck just alluded to. You guys have a good amount of companies that are coming. Remember, you have nothing to lose at all, right? You're the one that's going to sit down, right, within that 8 minutes, and you're going to give it everything that you have with your resume. You're going to finish this presentation with myself, and you're going to go out there and do your best. I'm a positive thinker. Everybody always says that about me. I think positively. So these jobs need to be filled at the end of the day. So always keep that in mind, right? MBA not required, kind of key points here. You guys should have received this in your email. If not, drop it in the chat. I'm sure Marvin can send it to you. Thursday, April 17th, 2025, 11 a.m. to 3. So that means that if it's 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., everybody in the chat, what time should we sign on or log on or join the virtual career fair? What time should we join the career fair if it's 11 a.m. to 3? Alexandre, Gina. Wow. Gina, you took me out with that. Raina, Jacqueline, I love it. I love it. I love it. She said, I'm not going to be on time. I'm going to be before time. I love it. I love it. Autumn, Aliza, I hope I'm saying these names right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. So let's talk about it. The essentials of resume strategy. So as we look at this, I always say we have to go back to the basics. I know it sounds like a cliche, but you do, because it's so many times that we look at resumes, and I can speak of that because I am a hiring leader and I interview individuals every day. So when we look at resumes, we're looking for the components, the foundation in regards to what makes a resume. So the first thing is just the formatting, first and foremost, right? The formatting. What does it say? Utilize uniform margins, spacing to enhance. Basically, you have to make sure that your resume is formatted correctly. How do we do that? Jump on Word, right? If you don't want to do from scratch, right? Some people just have their resumes on Word. Some people have them within a resume template builder. Again, just always make sure that it's formatted. You want to make sure that it's not too far to the left, not too far to the right, but you want to make sure it is aligned, right, with formatting. Tailoring your content. You want to make sure that what you're applying for, that you actually have the requirements for that, right? And you can tailor that. We'll talk a little bit later about transferable skills because I'm a big poster kid. I am an advocate for transferable skills. I feel personally, as a hiring leader, if you do not have the exact skills that is listed on a job description, does that mean that you should not be considered? Absolutely not. It does not mean that, because there's something called transferable skills. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But just keep that in mind. Tailored content, right? Highlighting some of your soft skills, right? Demonstrate the adaptability. I always say that as my mantra when I interview candidates. They always say, one of my biggest mantras is adaptability. You have to have adaptability because everything is evolving. Things are changing, so you have to be able to adapt. I suggest you guys remember that because that's actually a little clue and a gem that I just gave you when you interview. Adaptability is a huge component in that interview response, okay? So I'm going to be dropping these gems along the way. So just to make sure you guys take note of that. Some of the things, as we talk about soft skills and personal skills, again, adaptability, ambition, attention to details, commitment, some of the things that stand out to me, passion, being proactive, right? And collaboration. So just keep that in mind as far as soft skills for your resume. You can take a picture of this, but remember, this is going to be sent out to you guys later on. But this is kind of a good headway when you talk about skills. Effective resume presentation techniques. Okay. So again, we're talking about the font style. We're talking about bullet points. Does everybody know that? And I'll ask in the chat because I'm really curious about this. Does everybody use bullet points on their resume or any form or type or style of bullet points? Yes or no in the chat? Bullet points to outline your responsibilities. Does anyone have that currently? You're looking at your resume right now. Do you guys have bullet points on your resume? Okay, great. So that's perfect. And remember, those bullet points do not have to be the circular bullet points, right? They don't have to be that. They can be any style, but I want to make sure that you guys do have at least bullet points throughout the resume. It does look polished. The appearance looks great. And it also is a plus within the ATS system, okay? Quantify your success. I always talk about using a lot of metrics within your resume to describe certain types of achievements, provide evidence on how effective and impactful you were, right? So if you were assigned to work on a project, I want to talk about from start to completion. You want to make sure that you list that, right? And when we talk about ATS compatibility, again, the bullet points show uniformity when going through the ATS system, right? ATS system stands for Applicant Tracking System. That is what I would say just about every company and organization has right now because they are kind of sliding away from actual recruiters, right? And they're just kind of implementing the ATS system, which moves a little faster. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but you want to make sure that when you complete your resume and you actually submit it, that it's going to be able to go through and pass through the ATS system, which then will move you to a different area and they will give you that phone call or email that you're looking for. Okay. Norm, I just saw your message. I actually have that answer coming up, so we'll talk about that. And Minal, I believe Marvin just answered that question as well. Okay, current resume trends for 2025. Hybrid format adoption. So basically, you're basically embracing the combination of a digital and a traditional resume. It formats to cater to diverse employer preferences, ensuring readiness for both an online submission and an in-person submission, right? Highlight ongoing education and professional developments, activities. You know, one thing that I think that is a plus, and I like seeing that when I interview candidates, and I find that we leave that out a lot. Please let me know in the chat. How many of you that have worked at organizations or companies or currently do work at organizations or companies have taken specific training courses within your company or organization and received a certificate of completion for taking those training courses? Yes, in the chat? Anyone has taken those? Also in the chat, I want you to also let me know, how about just on your own, going on Google, right? Doing a search, taking a certification, and now you receive something that now says course complete. How many of you guys in the chat? So every one of you guys in chat, for the most part, are saying yes, that needs to go on your resume. A lot of people did not know that. Put that on your resume. That is a completion of a course. That is now a skill that you just went through, developed, and now can be utilized on your resume. Keep that in mind. Just put that as an asterisk on the side. We'll come back to that. Common errors to avoid in resume writing. That's huge, right? Everybody always wants to know what errors or what can we do to ensure that we're not making these continuous errors, right? So the first one talks about neglecting tailored applications. That means basically you're not customizing your resume, right? You have to customize it because no one wants to see a boring resume. We'll talk about that. Boring resume. So when you go to those template builders and you're building your resume, try to select one that is not so simplified, that does not really have too much customization. You want to customize the resume. You also want to make sure that you're not overlooking ATS system optimizations, right? Again, we talk about that. And remember, I'm going to ask you some of these questions at the end. So just keep in mind some of the words that you hear me saying repeatedly, okay? Applicant tracking systems can automatically disqualify you for certain key relevant items that are not listed on your resume, okay? Now, proofreading is big because I kind of feel like, okay, we throw it in the AI system or we have someone read it or we read it 3 times to where our eyes are tired, depending on when you're writing your resume, which I hope you already have it done. I know some people wait till the last minute or, you know, after they go through the resume strategy with Hisela, they're like, okay, let me make some edits. And now I'm tired. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I think this is great. And then you submit it and it's like, oh, I didn't realize, for example, again, there's not periods at the end of my responsibilities that I listed, right? Because I always say you either have periods at the end of your responsibilities listed in your resume or you do not. It can be either or. You can't have where there's 3 periods at the end and then at the other 4, there's not. It has to have a sense of consistency within your resume. Preparing for your virtual career fair. How do you prepare for that? What's the first thing that comes to mind before I go to the next slide? What's the first thing, everyone on the chat, what you should do first before the virtual career fair? I want to know what you guys are thinking. Tell me what you're thinking. Okay. Do your due diligence. I like that, Alexandre. Yusuf, company research. Sakira, look at the jobs and companies. Aman, resume, and make sure your clothes are on point. Jacqueline, research the companies and positions. Come on, everyone, talk to me. What are we doing before the virtual career fair? Preparing, looking restful and healthy, researching. Make sure you practice introducing yourself to recruiter. Jasmine said, look in the mirror and talk to yourself. Make sure audio and video is working. Aman said, say a prayer. I know that's right. Okay. Being prepared and equipped. Anticipating questions. Chuck, are you hearing this? This is what I'm talking about. So you guys are ready. I don't even need to do this. You guys
Thank
are
you,
ready.
everyone. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So preparing for your virtual career interview. First things first, communication. And by the way, effective communication skills, I want you guys to take the word communication that's right there in the center, and I want to make sure that is on your resume. Everyone that is on this presentation, that is on this Zoom call, I want to make sure that communication is on your resume. If it's not on your resume, just write it up at the corner, and then when we're off the Zoom, you can redo it. But communication needs to be 100% on your resume, right? Because the first thing is communication, right? That's the first thing. Before you even get on the job, get hired, right? Thinking positively, you have to communicate. And you want to make sure that you are communicating effectively, okay? Crafting your elevator pitch. I hope I'm saying the right number. Chuck will correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have 8 minutes. I mean, 8 minutes, it's like speed dating, which we have done one of those speed datings. You guys can check back. We've done a kind of a speed dating similar presentation, but you don't have that much time. So you want to make sure that one, Chuck talked about it earlier, you bring your A game, right? It says start with a captivating hook or personal story that relates to your professional journey. Every time I interview someone, I always say, first things first, tell me a little bit about yourself. What knocks you out? What knocks me out is if when they're telling me about themselves, if it takes, let's say, 7 minutes. Remember, you only have 8. So if you go into a long conversation about yourself, you're not really going to give the opportunity to interview, right? So think about that. I'm sure Chuck would agree with that. Remember, it's 8 minutes. Although we want to hear about everything that you have done, I want you to minimize that. So remember, think about it like this. When I interview candidates, I usually go first and I tell them, I want you to give me a high-level overview of your resume. High-level overview. 1 minute, go. So that means right off the top of your head, you're going to be thinking, okay, you know your resume, you wrote it. So you can be able to speak to that, again, within 1 minute. So we talk about timing your applications effectively, right? So this talks a little bit about the process as far as from a recruitment point, right? So understanding how the recruitment cycle works. Again, I always tell everyone, it's going to go through an ATS system because there's not an actual individual all the time, depending on how many applications you're receiving, that's going to be able to go through all of those resumes, right? So when you apply for positions, whether that's on LinkedIn or Indeed or wherever you see the position, you want to make sure that the timing is right. So that might mean you might have to get up a little bit earlier before you get ready and go to work and submit that application. It always has to do with the timing. Trust me when I tell you. Okay, so you want to make sure that you submit that application in the morning. Okay, be proactive with the job alerts. I know a lot of us set that up on LinkedIn. By the way, I'll just throw in a pitch for LinkedIn. How many of you guys have LinkedIn on the chat? I don't see it moving yet. How many of you guys have LinkedIn on the chat? Okay. So Manal, basically, this is just in general. Positions that you're applying for as it relates to the career fair, you are applying to those. This is just in general when you apply to any position, whether it's the career fair that you're going to be attending next week or just in general. You want to make sure that you are proactive in applying for it early. You don't want to wait till the last minute.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Understanding the recruiter feedback. This is just touching a little bit on what Chuck talked about, the importance of the tailored resumes, value of constructive criticism. I always say, taking feedback that you receive is never a negative, it's always a positive, because it does not only help identify your strengths that you have or things that you can improve on, but the next interview, you're going to make sure that you knock it out the park because you know everything that you need to do for the next interview, okay? Building the professional relationship, maintaining that communication. Once you have a recruiter, you need to stay with that recruiter, okay? When I used to be a recruiter, I used to have thousands of, well, maybe not thousands, but close to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that became my pen pal, and they would always reach out to me. You want to make sure that once you have that relationship with the recruiter, that you continue to maintain that relationship, okay? Because there could be more jobs, and having that relationship, they'll be able to connect you and network with you for other positions, okay? So one thing I wanted to do is just kind of really just take a glance at this, the importance of resume reviews and improvement, right? So showcasing your skills, job matching. When you look at this resume right here, sorry about that. Oh, let me go back. Technical difficulties. We're back. Okay, so as we talk about resumes, sorry about that. As we talk about resumes, and you're thinking about resumes, sorry about that. When you look at a resume, what are you looking at when you look at that resume? For example, the one that we just saw, which I'll bring it back. Sorry. Here we go. Sorry about that. So when you look at a resume, what do we look at? So this resume that's here, that's listed here. It has a summary, it has experience, it has skills, it has strengths, achievements, education. Do you guys in the chat, do you guys think that this resume looks fairly decent? Would you give this resume a pass if you were the recruiter in the chat? I'm just curious. What do you guys think about it? Does it have all of the functionalities and the foundation of the resume? What do you guys think? Just an eye glance. I mean, it has a summary, right? You guys see that? I know it's hard to see. It has experience, has, some achievements we talked about, some skills there, the education. They even put a language, which we'll talk about a little bit, right? Bilingual skills, if applicable, are important to list on a resume. It doesn't matter if you are a beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Even if you are multilingual, I'll throw that in there. Definitely make sure that's showcased on your resume, right? This resume looks pretty good, looks decent, right? So you want to make sure that you showcase your skills and you enhance the job matching. How do you enhance the job matching? Sorry about that. How do you enhance the job matching is that you're going to the job description of the position that you are applying for. And you're going to take out keywords, key action words, right? And you're going to transform and collaborate that into your resume. You're not going to copy it verbatim, but what you are going to do is you're going to look at key action words within that specific job description. So I'm going to pause on the presentation because I wanted to kind of open it up and kind of hear from you guys. But as we talk about how to apply for a position, as we talk about the job description, as we talk about being interview ready when we do the virtual career fair, this is where I want you guys to open up a little bit.
Can I add a couple of thoughts?
Sure.
Thank you, Isella, for your wisdom and your experience that you shared. There was one thing that you mentioned, and I don't know if that was something that, well, you mentioned LinkedIn. You asked them if they had LinkedIn program. The one thing that should happen is realizing the recruiters, after they talk to you, will look for you on LinkedIn. So please don't have any derogatory things, any necessary any bad things that may reflect dimly upon you as a person. And more importantly, that your LinkedIn profile should match your resume. Simple enough. Did I say that right?
You did.
I heard someone mention, well, someone did not mention, no one mentioned. We want you to get back to us. Let us know how you did, how you're doing. Um, there is another career fair which we plan to put together for next month, which is on a national basis, covers all 50 states. It's and I'm only saying that because this could be an introduction into you coming back again next month, or as Gisela mentioned, later on in the year. Every time you get an opportunity to be interviewed, as you will next week, it only is going to help you for the next time you have an interview, whether it be face to face or you submitted a resume in and somebody actually got back to you. We're only trying to build your strength for your ability to be able to talk yourself into a great opportunity. And something someone else said, and I do apologize for not bringing it up myself. We're going to say a prayer for you too. Um, we want you to get a job here. We can't say that enough. We give our time and what little talent we have to have you understand exactly that we're here for you. 19 times we've done this, a couple times on the national program platform. We're well over 550, 600 people every time we do this session. You do the math. And if we didn't say enough about the companies involved, they're all Fortune 500 companies, or they're Fortune on the Fortune European list. Because if you didn't know, there are actually two lists. For example, Beiersdorf is not listed on the 500 Fortune 500 United States because it's a German company, but they're listed on the European Fortune 500. So they're all great companies. You're not going to have a problem at all. Please, if anybody gets hired by Estee Lauder or Morgan Stanley or BNP Paribas, BNP Paribas, you're going to have a great opportunity for growth and development. I offer you one stock tip. Get this stock. Start buying, have them make payroll deductions to where so you can have some shares of their stock as you grow with them. Hopefully, they'll grow as well with you. I haven't said that before, but it's very important. You want Morgan Stanley stock. You want Estee Lauder stock. I have family members that became quite rich working for Estee Lauder and holding on to their stock. Anyway, that's enough to get you excited.
Chuck, do we have at least another 5 minutes to answer some questions in the chat? Yes?
You have exactly, you have more than 5 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
You're supposed to be from 6 to 7:30, 7:45.
Oh, so
You're
we got
early.
time. So I just want to answer. So, guys, as Chuck mentioned, I do this presentation just about, I don't know, maybe 3 times a year. But what's so different about this one is because I want to hear from you. I
Exactly.
can sit up here all day because I am a hiring manager and I hire individuals throughout the year. And I feel like this is that opportunity that I don't want you guys to be shy. And I want you guys to write in the chat and ask me some of the challenges that you're having, or better yet, how about talking about some of the wins, right? Because I'm a person that doesn't always focus on the negative, but the positive. So maybe there might be something that someone is doing where they're receiving a lot of callbacks, right? Or offers, and they're in a position where they're just like, you know what, this is not good for me. I'm going to pass. What are they doing that is so different, right? We talked a little bit, a lot actually, about what we need to do to prepare. But what I wanted to also mention was, as we are in 2025, and this is the first Resume Journeys presentation, I just want to throw that in there for 2025, resume strategies. So taking your resume game to the next level, we have to bring that. How are we going to bring that? What do you guys see right now within your resume in front of you that you can actually edit, customize, change to enhance your resume for the virtual career fair next week? Is it, I don't know, removing too many positions? Is it using a resume builder to format your resume? Is it adding what Chuck talked about with relocation, right? But not only relocation, one thing he didn't mention, which is, are you open to hybrid or remote work?
Yep.
He didn't mention that. So let's talk
Right.
about that, right? Those are
failed.
things that you can put on your resume. Sorry, Chuck. So these are things that you can actually put on your resume. Do you have the word objective? I want you to cross that out. Is it a career summary? You know, think about some of those things. Think about, you know, the 3 C's rule, right? Clear, concise, and consistent, right? Clear, concise, and consistent. So what do you guys see right now on your resume that you want to ask about? I know, Jane, you had asked a question while everybody else is coming into the chat, but I just want to answer that. You know, so recruiters do not like to see multiple versions of the resume if you're applying for the same position,
Right.
right? So you want to make sure that you have kind of a skeleton resume, right? I always say you should always have a resume, one, that is customizable. And that resume that's customizable is on a Word, right? Because you can't do PDF, right? You want to have it on a Word document so you can always go in and make those changes in real time. It's so many times that candidates tell me that they're on LinkedIn at nighttime and they see a position, but the resume that they have that's uploaded in LinkedIn, right? Because we upload it and it's saved, is not the resume that we want to use, right? So you want to make sure you kind of have a skeleton resume available so that you can kind of add in, again, looking at the job description, not copying it verbatim word for word, but we are looking at keywords that we can kind of put into our resume so that one, it looks clear, concise, and consistent, but two, that it can pass through the ATS system that is already set up and designed to be able to look for these words within our resume.
Gisela, can you talk about gaps in employment?
Yes, gaps in employment. So I know that there is a connotation where individuals feel like if they have gaps in employment, that they're not feeling confident in applying for certain roles. I want you to remember, right? We're human, right? And things happen. As somebody always says, life is lifing. That's a new word I hear now. Life is lifing and things are happening. Gaps of employment can be explained, one, and number two, it's really how you explain those gaps of employment on your resume. Whether that gap of employment is maybe you took some time because you wanted to go back to school, you wanted to be a caregiver, right? There's so many different things that you can put on your resume to explain that gap of employment. But one thing I will tell you, if you have a position that, let's just say you were there for 2 months, it really doesn't pose an importance to put that on your resume if you are targeting a specific role in which the other jobs on your resume have more tenure, that you were at that position and did a lot more than the 2 months. Jobs on resumes within the HR world, once you get selected and hired, right? Or even before that hiring process, they're going to be looking at positions that you actually collected a W-2. And in order for you to collect a W-2, if I'm not mistaken, 2 months does not qualify. So you want to make sure, right, Chuck? You want to make sure that the jobs that you actually have on your resume, you have some tenure there, right? If you do not, you can actually take the job. I want you guys to listen to this because this is a good gem. The job that you had for 2 months, whether you were laid off, whether you decided to leave, if you do not want to put that on your resume, which I don't implore you to do so, I want you to take the responsibilities and the skills that you did for those 2 months. Because remember, in 2 months, you were on the job. You started learning, you started applying yourself. There are things that you started to do, courses you started to take, right? So just keep that in mind because you can actually put that and embed that into your resume as a skill set, right? Chuck, does that make sense?
It does. I was going to ask you, I have a little, because I remember me back 18 times we've done this. Some common questions, number of pages for your resume.
Number of pages on your resume in the chat. 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3 in the chat. I need to see that chat go up right now. I only see Alexandra. Come on, I need, let's go, Charlie, Manal, let's go. Okay, Natan, Norm. It's not going. I needed to keep moving. 1, 2, or 3, guys. 1, 2, or 3. Okay. Yes, Shanique, yes. So 1, 2, or 3. The Google and the stigma should be a one-page resume, but like someone had mentioned, it is based on your experience. Always
Right.
remember that it is based on your experience. If you have experience, it will never fit on a one-page resume. You do not want to cramp it and condense it to where it's one page. So it depends on your experience. It actually is subjective based on the experience that you have. Absolutely, Cheryl. And Jacqueline, exactly. Spot on. Shanique, spot on. Should you put all of your experience or just the last 10 years, Norm? Absolutely. 10 years is enough. You do not
Yes.
need to go further. I'm so glad you asked that because that's important. 10 years is enough.
More than enough.
Yes.
If they can't figure it out in 10 years, don't worry about it.
What about to know? Good to know. Yes. So again, you guys, when I'm sure Marvin will drop my information below. I'll definitely be
He had to run out.
available.
He had to run out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will drop my information below. But I'll be available on Thursday as well. If you guys want to join in, I'll allocate some time. I think it starts at 11. So, for Gina that was on the call, I remember she said, when I asked you guys in the beginning, what time are you guys going to show up to the virtual interview? I'm very happy, and I'll tell Chuck, nobody said after 11. Everybody
thank God.
actually said, everybody actually said before. I'll just call out Gina. Sorry, Gina, to pick on you, but she said 7:45 a.m. So she not only was early, she said that she was going to sit down, have her coffee, and just be ready, practicing in the mirror with her recruiter, performance as far as an interviewee and interviewer.
Can I just also mention, it's funny you would say that. We even have Fortune 500 companies that show up the day before. Like we know there are 7 companies going to be here next week. They're giving us all their logos, all their recruiters have been trained. We train the recruiters, by the way, get them thinking more positive about the interviews they're going to have with you guys, interaction or so forth. But we'll get somebody that Fortune, whatever have you, will ask us the day before, can they join us? So we never tell them no. We just tell them, well, you're not going to be able to get everything done like the other 7 companies. But if they insist, we might have an extra company showing up. One thing, when you do come in to your booth and you're waiting in list of in order of what you came in, timing what you came in, you're going to have the opportunity to go to their website and look at their jobs and look at their video and the rest. I also ask you to be patient. That's what Marvin would tell you. It may not be 5 minutes. You may have to wait an hour to get interviewed, but that's because they'll only give us 3 to 4 to 5 recruiters, and they're going to have about 50 or 100 of you guys trying to get an interview. But the point is that as long as you're patient, you know what job you're looking for, you heard everything that Isabella had mentioned tonight, you'll be fine. You'll be great. Please ask for that second interview. Please tell them, I want to say, Chuck said I should have a second interview. You can throw me under the bus. I don't mind. But I want you to do well. I can't tell you how much I want you to do well. EVP at nyblackmba.org is my email address. EVP, Executive Vice President at nyblackmba.org. Send me a note. Let me know how you're doing. We'd like to hear from you. And some people already try to link up with me on LinkedIn. I'd be more than glad to do that. And you can follow my crazy life. That's why I'm in Pittsburgh tonight and not home. That's when you have too many jobs, as might be. Any questions? Are they quiet? Very, very interactive.
I'm actually pretty active on the chat,
I
actually.
know.
While you're
I know.
talking, I'm actually
Yeah,
messaging a lot of them,
right.
on the
Yeah.
chat, so which is
I
good.
have a question. Sorry. Would you suggest applying for, if I find a job on any of the 7 companies which I'm interested in, should I apply and then participate in career fair, or should I just directly go?
I'll say to you, your best opportunity is coming to the career fair. I don't know of anybody that told me I stuck my resume in on the browser as they ask you to do and got an interview. This is the best way, the most clear-cut way of getting into that company. You're going to meet one of the decision makers, one of the recruiters. They're going to ask you questions. Be ready to answer questions. Be ready to give them questions.
Hey,
Okay.
Chuck,
I
real
hope
quick
that
in the
answers your
chat-
question. You can do
in the-
both. And by the way,
Okay, yeah.
if you see more than one job with the same company, bring that forward too. I mean, you're increasing your odds of
Mhm.
getting placed by having 2 or 3 jobs that you like. And there's 7 companies there. You can go to all 7 companies. Don't stop at one.
Chuck, can you run down the companies? I think they were asking, can you just
Oh,
run through the
I could
companies
do
that
that
are
real quick.
coming to the career fair?
Hang on. I did it on the first time when you weren't here. Estee Lauder Companies, which has 25 to 30 brands that they offer. They're a global outfit. They're Fortune 500, great company to work for. As I mentioned, I've had family members that worked there and actually retired from that place. Great place to work. They have odd jobs in New York, Long Island, around the place. BNP Paribas. Do you hear that? I'm having problems with my digest. BNP Paribas is a French financial organization. They're headquartered in Paris. Moody's is headquartered in New York. It's a financial company. They do ratings. So if you have a statistical background, great company to work for. Morgan Stanley looks for a lot of different type of backgrounds and experiences, but they're a financial organization as well. They will hire you with virtually little experience because they will train you. They want you to have those financial certifications, series this, series that. If you know what they are, then you should go that line. Beiersdorf, as I mentioned, is a product company. They're a B2C organization. They make Nivea, which I mentioned earlier. Go buy a Nivea product. So you can speak from a position of strength. They do lotion and the rest. CIBC is a Canadian bank. They also have offices in Canada. Once again, when we talk about relocation, Toronto is a great place to live. I actually won my only golf tournament in Toronto. Did you know that? I had to leave the country in order to win, but they do financial stuff. Mizuho is a Japanese organization. They have jobs in Chicago and New York. They're one of the companies that was talking about relocation. That was on top of her mind. She actually mentioned it 2 or 3 times. So it's not going to hurt to have on your resume you're willing to relocate and wait to see what happens. And did I get them all? That's it.
Yeah.
That's all
Hey
7.
Chuck,
Yeah.
Chuck, I got a quick question. Just
Sure.
based on what you just mentioned, like where should you have that open to relocation? Title. Like where do you put it within
I would
the resume?
Yeah, it's his elementary. Many of these resumes after they look at them, they'll pop them into the computer system. I would have it on the bottom, right? Don't make it an issue, but make sure you have it. You see my point?
Mhm.
I mean, you don't want them to wonder, oh, I didn't ask him if he's willing to relocate. Okay, it's on your resume, right?
Sounds good.
Put it on the footnotes, but have it somewhere on there. Might be part of your skills, right? Is that willing to relocate?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You can
Yeah.
actually tie it into, for the gentleman, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, but you can actually tie it into your skills, or you can tie it into the top of your resume where you would put after your underscore for your email address and your contact information, you can put it there as well. You can put willing to relocate or, open to hybrid or remote positions.
Exactly. By the way, while you're saying that, my creative mind went through, start working again. If you worked in LA and Pasadena or Detroit or Boston or Philadelphia, like I have, New York, and of course DC, um, I don't have resumes anymore. By the way, you'll get to a point in life where resumes not even required. People know your skills. Write in a book you have coming out, but it'd be nice to put that on your resume. You've had experience working in these locations. Why not? Especially if you went to their career page and saw they had jobs open in Milwaukee and in Chicago and the rest. It gives them a hint. Anything that can connect you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, one more thing, say it during the interview. You know, bring it up. Don't wait for them to ask you. All right. Anything else? Gina, you were quiet. What's going on? And I'll be there Thursday next week. I'll be there for all 4 hours.
And again, if you guys feel like you can utilize, my skill sets at taking a look at your resume, please definitely reach out to me. You could
Yes.
send me a text message. I just ask that you tell me your name because sometimes I get text messages and there's no name and I do not know who it is. But definitely feel free to reach out to me. I could definitely take a look at your resume and let you know just really quickly, if it's a yay or nay or something that you might be missing that you need to add to stand out. I'm definitely open to doing that.
Yeah. By the way, does everybody use their name tonight? They did,
I
right?
want to say yes,
I
except
see L. I see LT.
yeah, I saw
Put your name in there.
LT.
They're gonna want to talk to you, James. First and last name, James.
Just where did you share your contact info? Or can you share that again, please?
Yes, I'll put it in there right now for you. I thought Marvin had did it, but no problem.
T, put your name in there. You guys have to be out there, right? Any questions, Cheryl? Cheryl Carter, I see on there. Any questions for us? We're going to shut down in about 2 or 3 minutes, but we want to make sure we got to you guys.
I had asked earlier, just in terms of the available opportunities that the companies, the corporates that are participating are making available or providing. Was that made available by email, or
Yes,
should we just go on the individual website?
If you registered for the event, Marvin would have sent it to you. If you're a member of our organization, you would have seen it as well. The third option, just go to their career page and hit on their career links. You'll see what jobs they have. And by the way, don't worry, guys. There are a ton of jobs that they have. All these companies that we hear about laying off people, these guys aren't. That's the Lord. I thought I had 80 some odd jobs. That's a lot. Because usually they're going to have to interview a few hundred people to fill 80 some odd jobs. And that's why they like us, because we're giving it talented people. Is anybody from outside the area other than California?
I'm based in Boston now. I'm between Boston and New York.
You're between Boston and New York. That's
I
Connecticut. It's a big state.
I live in Boston, but technically I work in New York, so I come to New York for 3 days out of the week, and then I come back to Boston.
Okay, are you living in Medford? Or
Uh, Specifically like Boston proper,
okay,
Roxbury, that's the area, but I'm from Cambridge originally.
gotcha. I worked up there for a couple of years myself. I know it's a tough neighborhood up that way.
Well, now it's so much is changing now. This my block has changed significantly, but
All
it's
right,
good changes, you know.
I'll take your word on that. And you'll be fine next week.
Thank you.
If you
Yeah,
guys are, sorry, Chuck, if you guys are looking to transition, because not, I know that there are individuals that actually have a job. I also wanted to plug that in as well. If you're looking to pivot, right,
Yep.
and change into something, that's fine too. Please feel free to reach out to us. I think there's nothing to lose by still coming to the career fair. Again, you might stumble
Yep.
upon something where you say, you know what, this is definitely the direction I want to go in at this place in my life. So I'm sure Chuck will agree with me.
yeah.
Definitely, attend a career fair and sit with some recruiters.
Let me also mention that Beiersdorf does have a lot of jobs in Connecticut. If anybody's interested in going up that way. And they're excited about joining us. They've been the most detail-oriented group we have here, down to the colors of the background. I said, all right. I'm sure our people will be looking at that, but that's how detail-oriented they are. That's how detail-oriented you have to be.
And just remember, for those that are hybrid and remote, you do not have to list your address on your resume. Again,
Right.
those are these gems. This is what I'm telling you guys. Stay connected. You do not have to list your exact address if you're applying for a remote or a hybrid position, okay? You just need to put your phone number, make sure that your email is cleared out. I mean, your voicemail is cleared out, and your email address. And that's it. You do not have to put exactly, because I know that was a question as well. If I'm looking for a remote opportunity, should I actually put where I'm based at? Whether that's North Carolina, whether that's Pittsburgh, whether that's LA. No, you do not have to list that.
All right. Isella, can we say goodnight? Thank you, everyone. I wish you the best. I'll say a prayer for you. And let us know how you're making out over the next couple of weeks, all right? Be good. Thank you for coming.